Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be looking through the Dofus Twitter because the update 2.58 is coming out on beta today. Around 2 p.m. they're gonna, well, it's not necessarily 2 p.m. it's gonna come out, but around 2 p.m. they're gonna tell us when it's gonna come out, I suppose. But the things that are gonna be coming out in the update have been released in the Ankama Live that took place yesterday. And so there's a lot of interesting new changes to the game, and you know the meta is definitely going to be switched up, PvP probably, and a little bit of PvM stuff. So I kind of want to run through these items with you and show you, in case none of you speak French, because the live is in French, so in case you just didn't see it. I think the photos here probably will be in French, but I do speak French, so I'll be able to translate for you guys. Let's just go through it here. We can see here that the maintenance took place and everything. Now we're just waiting for beta to open up so we can go and check out everything. So first thing is the Pryteks were changed. Whereas before, the way that the different Pryteks were laid out was each one had a different percentage of your HP for a different for a different number of turns. I don't remember them exactly because I never played around with Pryteks, but it used to be I know that the main one everyone used was the 50% shield for 2 turns, and then there was something like less shield for 3 turns, and there was another one which was I think 100% shield for 1 turn. 100% being like of your HP max. Now the 3 Pryteks are different. Basically, they're going to be every turn you gain a certain number of shield, and it's not based on your maximum HP but your current HP. So for example, and it's going to be for 3 turns, and the way they different is just in the percentages and in the order. The percentages add up to the same thing, I believe. Let me check. So this 10, 25, 45, this is, yeah, 45. So they all add up to the same thing. It's just laid out in different orders. So for example, this one, the iridescent Prytek, well, actually it's in English. I suppose why would it be in French on the English Dofus? I don't know. Anyways, let's just go through it anyways. So the iridescent Prytek is 10% turn 1, and then 15 turn 2, and then 20 on turn 3. This one here is going to be 15, 15, 15. And this one's going to be 20, 15, and 10. Now, personally, I think if I were wanting to play, I would want something that gives me the most shields for turn 2 and 3. Given that turn 1, people just tend to boost the most. So in my opinion, this will be the most played one. 10% on turn 1, because turn 1, again, like people are just boosting, preparing their combos or whatever. And turn 2 is when things start to get into action, and turn 3 definitely. So turn 10, so 10%, 15, and 20, that one seems pretty cool. 15, 15, 15 as well. This one, 20% turn 1, and then 15 and 10 is less interesting. But I guess they know that because obviously this one's the cheapest, just in terms of craft materials. This one's second, and this one's best. So it makes sense that this one would be the most useful. They know what they're doing. Secondly, a really cool ornament has come out. It was kind of funny because 20,000 achievement points is really difficult to get, of course, and a lot of players have reached it, but there was no ornament for it. Like, there's no reward for a very long time. And like, I have a friend who reached it. He was so pissed about it because, like, you know, he put a lot of time and effort into getting that 20k, and there's nothing. But now there's this really cool ornament. Let's see if we can pause it at the right moment. Boom. So there it is. Obviously it won't be like unfurling in that way in the game. It'll just be an ornament, I believe, just like every other ornament. But I really love the colors, like the blue on red and stuff. It looks really sick, to be honest. I wish I could get this one. You guys know me and my achievement series. I think I stopped at like 14k or something. I forgot where I was. Moving on, we got the black spotted Dofus. Let's pause here. Pause. Okay. So that's like the new Dofus that's coming out with the new zone for Pandala. And the thing is, to me, this is a little bit disappointing because the mechanic of it is based upon the previous 2 Dofuses, the Dorigami and the Domakuro. And I kind of don't like that, because instead of it just being a Dofus that like is interesting to wear on its own, it requires almost 2 trophy slots, you know. And nowadays there's just so many options for trophy slots. Like we really need each one. I feel like at this point we should definitely have like an extra trophy slot. I don't know what you guys think, but nowadays there's just so many trophies, so many Dofuses that like have Pryteks, like so many things that have interesting like options and capabilities and stuff. It really sucks that we only have 6, and to come out with a Dofus that requires essentially 2 slots. Now The Dorigami, I don't have it on hand here, but I know it gives shields, and I know it's kind of useful, but I haven't really seen it be played. And the Domakuro is so situational that, again, it's not super useful. So if you guys, I'll run you through the way that they work really quick. I believe the Domakuro, if you don't do damage for the first 5 turns, then you gain 64 damage for the rest of the fight at the end of those 5 turns. And the Dorigami is some sort of shields at the start of your turn, I think like 200 shields or something, which is nice, but it's only for the first 5 turns, and then you just have a vacant trophy slot basically for the rest of the fight. Again, I think the shield one's more interesting from those two, but regardless, the way that they work is just not that interesting, and they are kind of lower level Dofuses, and to have this Dofus kind of rely on them makes it a little bit of a disappointment. But I should probably say what it does. So it's 20 heals, 20 critical resistance, which cool. Actually 20 heals is, how does that compare to trophies? Like, what's the maximum that a trophy gives? Like 32 maybe? Not sure. If it's 32, then it's still useless, but if it's less than 20, then maybe it could be useful for like Inripsas or something like that. Okay, and now we can look at some new gear that's coming out. So there's this set, the Wulan set, which is going to be a strength chance set with critical capabilities. Seems to give minus dodge and minus AP reduction. So that's, but it does give MP reduction. So minus dodge, minus AP reduction, plus MP reduction, and it's strength, chance, critical. And there's a really cool bow here, 1717, 15% crits plus 10 damage. 1717, that's 34. What's the spell that's like 34 damage? I think Eliotrope's offense is 34 damage. But again, this is split into 2 lines, which is definitely going to be interesting, especially now that we have the changes to Ivory, which I'll go over later. It's coming up, like Ivory and Ebony. But yeah, I think this is really cool bow, 5%, but no, 5 AP, which you guys will see later with the nerf of a lot of our current meta weapons, is actually kind of interesting. And this amulet's really nice, gives a range as well. So that's it for that set here. We have a couple other items too. We have this wand, which is an intelligence, damage, and HP stealing, 3 to 6 range, 15%, and only 4 AP, which is kind of cool. And it's always nice to have a weapon that's split into 2 lines. That way, if you play a set with, like, let's say 170 fire damage, then it gets multiplied by 2, so you get a lot of damage out of the weapon that way by having like split lanes. You guys take a second here to look at the stats. 15 critical damage, that's really cool. I feel like this would be overpowered if it gave a range, but I kind of wish it gave a range. I don't know, just because I'm thinking I want to use this. It looks really cool, but it doesn't give a range, and man needs his range. So there's more. Let's skip over this way. There's this ring here. I don't think these belong to a set. I think these are just standalone items. There's this ring here, which is just everything but strength, it seems. Gives damage, gives range, it's really cool. A little bit of very low resistances, but in 3. So total of 9%, which is not too bad. I mean, certain rings give 10% in one element. This one gives 3 in multiple, which is interesting. 300 HP, that's about standard for rings. Minus MP parry, that's a little bit bad nowadays. Then we got this hammer. This really cool hammer, 3 AP. What? 2 uses per turn? No way. I mean, it doesn't crit, so I guess it can't be exploited with critical damage, but 3 AP and then fire steal as well. I think this hammer's, wow. I definitely want to get this hammer and make a video with it. This seems so cool. Look at that, 450 HP, 75, 18 fire damage, 300 initiative. I love initiative. 12 life, wow. Not even any, like, there's no real downside to this, except that it's in close combat. So obviously I wouldn't play it with I would play it with an IOP. I wouldn't play it with my rogue. But it's really cool, especially the 2 uses per turn. And the fact that there's HP steal, that's really nice. I love this weapon. Let's go next. We also have this new, so this is a scythe. Like, it's the type of weapon that you don't ever see in game. And I believe the way that it hits is like in a zone, but or like the range is 1 to 2. I'm not sure exactly how that's laid out, because I think every weapon kind of has its own thing, right? Like staffs just hit in front of you, but then they hit in like a line. So they would hit, like, let's say damn, I should have like the game open, but let's say you are here, right? And you hit here, it's gonna hit there, and like on the sides, either side. That's how like staffs hit, and bows are bows, and wands are similar to bows, but they are a little bit less ranged, but more damage sometimes, or whatever. And then hammers also have that like plus shape, and swords just hit really hard. Daggers you can usually use twice. That's kind of their mechanic. And size kind of hit, I think they have a different like their range 1 to 2. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to be laid out, but we'll see. Interesting thing about this though is that it's an HP steal and it's air. It does give minus range, which who would that not bother? I guess like Sacriers it wouldn't bother. No, I think nowadays pretty much all classes really depend on range. Maybe not like an IOP or something, but again, if you're playing agility IOP, that's typically a range-based gameplay, so you don't want to be playing in CC. 31 to 42 and HP steal though, that's always really cool. Take a second here to look at the stats. Pause if you have to. Over here we have a ring, which looks pretty solid. Again, yeah, pretty solid ring. Seems a little bit annoying to mage, maybe. I'm just trying to think of this in terms of maging. Wait, let me think of all these in terms of maging. Okay, here you have a summon and some heals to work with because you're playing agility. Obviously, no one cares about heals if you're playing agility. You can sacrifice those. But this ring here, like if you're genuinely going for a well-statted ring with including the pushback damage, because you know, like with Buhurado Feather and stuff, you can make an agility pushback thing. Let's say for an agility Foggernaut. Over here, you have all these. I don't know, I feel like this one's going to be a little bit of a bitch to mage, but we'll see how that goes. You also have this bow. Now this bow is, okay, so this bow, look at this. So 5 AP, right? 44 to 50 water damage. Obviously, this is very comparable to the current corrupted bow. 450 vitality, 70 chance, 40 wisdom, all this stuff here. It doesn't give a range, but it does give 500 initiative, and the resistances are 10 and 10 instead of the 7 and 7 that the corrupted bow gives. Also, it's 20 water damage, not 15. But yeah, it doesn't give a range. The thing that's really interesting though is just wait until we come up to the nerfs of the current weapons, because corrupted bow, hammerture, and cat's eye bow were nerfed. They didn't get really creative with the nerfs. They just made one small change, but you'll see. So it's definitely a nice weapon. I think it's very used. It's going to be very used for chance builds, because I can't really think of a good chance weapon nowadays. Like maybe or like a chance bow. I know there's like Cthulhu bow, but you have to have a lot of agility to even wear that. You have contemporary bow, but again, that's like the stats on that just aren't really that good. It does have an AP reduction, but whatever. So let's go next here. We have this set here, which the way I understand it, this white set is the complete opposite, is like the reverse, the mirror image of this set. Or wait, no, not this one. It's this one and the next one. Oh, okay, sorry. So this one and this one are mirror images of each other. So we'll go through this one, then we'll see the other one. Yeah, so it's those two, not the one that I just showed you. So over here you have this one, which is a strength agility set with negative crits. It gives MP reduction, critical resistance, minus lock, minus AP reduction, minus pushback. So just real quick, I'll skip over to this one so you guys can see the flip side. And this one is an intelligence chance, so the opposite. And it gives negative dodge, negative MP reduction, negative crit res, but positive AP reduction and pushback resistance. I feel like I said something wrong there, but you guys can see it, so you know what I'm saying anyways. So yeah, these two sets, kind of cool. I'm trying to think of like what would profit from a strength agility set with negative crits. Maybe like an Ujinek, but again, crits are quite powerful even for Ujineks. Like there's no, like the only class I think nowadays that doesn't really need crits is maybe like Rogue because of our bomb gameplay, or maybe like Sedida also because of the, like anything that plays indirectly doesn't really care that much about crits, like Sedida, Osa, Rogues. I think that's it. Sedida, Osa, Rogue. That's mostly what comes to mind, but anything that plays with negative crits. But the thing about Rogue, for example, is it's not really worth it to play with split builds. You typically want to focus on one element, so I don't see this as going to be something that's really played, especially for rogues. But it's not that it's going to be useless, especially again, you have the scythe here. Look at these damage capabilities. 5 AP, 1 to 2 range, -1 MP, that's really cool, but the damage is really heavy, so can't wait to see how these like get integrated into today's gameplay. Over here we have the flip one, which is the intelligence chance one. Now this one here is going to be I think a little bit more used because I can see this being used on like rogues, say Xellers, because the intelligence chance and the AP reduction, which is really cool. AP reduction is, I think, going to make this useful. I know this is going to be useful, I think, for Sadidas. Intelligence chance is quite a cool hybrid combo for Sadidas, and AP reduction, although they don't really necessarily have any AP reduction spells directly as far as I know, so maybe not, but it could be paired up with an AP reduction weapon or something. Not too sure, but anyways, stats are here. I kind of wanted to just show them for you guys. And now we get to the weapons nerf. So our dear old corrupted bow, my favorite intelligence weapon, and obviously the favorite intelligence weapon of many players these days. You can see here it got nerfed from 5 AP, now it costs 6 AP. Everything else is the same, but it's going to be 6 AP instead of 5 AP. So I know for me, like in terms of a rogue, how much would that 1 AP affect me? I think like a standard turn where I would use corrupted bow for me is going to be like a, let's say I would do like leak pie, weapon skill, corrupted bow, which is 6 AP, then corrupted bow, so that's 11 AP, which is what I have. Or I would do like ruse, right, to get closer, and then leak pie, weapon skill, corrupted bow, something like that. So given those, obviously leak pie, corrupted bow, I just realized this is not necessarily a thing that's exclusive to rogues, of course, but yeah, I think that 6 AP really does nerf this weapon. That 1 AP, like something that costs 6 AP, that's like heavy. 6 AP. I'm trying to think like what spells nowadays even cost 6 AP. Like, is there a spell that naturally costs 6 AP? Maybe. No, I was gonna say trickery for Echo Flips, but I think the maximum on that's 5, if I'm not mistaken. And I can't really think of a 6 AP spell. I know Wrath is 7, and yeah, if you guys know any 6 AP spells, let me know. But I don't really know any. Next up, we got the Cat's Eye Bow. Now this one's AP didn't change, but the way it changed is like how strong it's going to hit and where it can hit from. So before, the minimum range was 3, so someone could be as close as 3 cells to you and you could hit them. Now it's 4. The critical percentage base is no longer 15, it's 5, so you got 10% less chances to crit. And even if you do crit, I believe the damage is lessened, so instead of +6, it's +5. That's not a very big nerf. Instead of +6, it's +5. But I guess that 10% critical removal kind of you know, makes it a little bit less interesting. Hamature got the same nerf as corrupted bow. They really didn't think twice. Like they didn't think of any creative way to nerf the weapon. They're just like, you know what, 5 AP, let's make it 6. Although it is fair enough, because like what other nerfs they could possibly do is either reduce the damage that it does, right? Or they could change like the base stats of the item. But the problem with changing the base stats of the item is like there's already so much of them in game, and like people have maged them, so it's not like you can just go ahead. Like let's say someone has gone ahead and like spent 20,000 million commas into maging, you know, just arbitrary number, into maging a bow, and then they come and they like instantly reset all the bows. Like they can't really do that. So the only things they can really manipulate is the AP cost, those critical things, like same thing that they're just these things that they've changed. Those are the only things they can really change, and as well as the base damage. Like corrupted bow I think is like around 50 average. I'm not sure of the exact, but something like that. So anyways, this is going to be nerfed. This is going to be nerfed. This is going to be nerfed. And with these new weapons, maybe something else will rise to the top. I'm thinking notably of that hammer, and this really cool wand here might be replacing the corrupted bow. We'll see. Next up, what do we got? We got the Ebony Dofus. Here we go. So Ebony Dofus is going to be changing up. Wait, down there's Ivory. Can't be shown no spoilers. Come on. So the Ebony Dofus is going to change. A couple of changes. So first of all, it's still going to be 40 dodge. Nothing different there. But there's no longer that charge system of 2% damage per charge. So right now we have like charge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then at 5 you have 10% final damage until your next hit, right? But now we no longer have that. So you can no longer profit from a damage boost from Ebony, which is instantly a big nerf, right? Because you're not going to be hitting quite as much. 10% is, I mean, on average, you're probably playing around, let's just say 5% boosted damage. So if you think about it, 5% damage is in a way kind of removing 5% resistance from all your opponents. And if you think about it like that, you realize how powerful it was before, but now that no longer will exist. Instead, well, it's not really being replaced. That part's not really being replaced, but the whole poison mechanic is changing. We no longer have the 5 charges. Basically, if you want to use an Ebony Dofus, if you want to apply poison, you have to do both the range and the close combat damage in the same turn, and then hit again. So the thing is, what that actually ends up doing is strongly advantaging close combat classes, because for range class to hit you in close combat, it's not the same sacrifice as for a ranged class to hit you. No, okay, let me say this again. So for a ranged class to come and hit you in close combat, it requires a greater personal sacrifice than a close combat class hitting you in range. Because think about it. So let's say you're a close combat class. You can just leak pie and then go and do your CC damage, right? So leak pie, that's your range damage. Go hit once in close combat, and then your Ebony is ready to go, and then you just hit him again in close combat and you place it. However, if you're playing a range class, let's say you can't really do that same thing, because you can hit in range, go hit in close combat, and then place your Ebony, but then you got to go to range again. Otherwise, you're going to get screwed over. So you can't have that much mobility. Otherwise, let's say if you start in close combat, then maybe you can do it. Like if you start in close combat, you can hit them and let's say push them back and then run away and hit them again, to place. But it's a slight advantage towards the close combat classes. And all of this, you gotta think about how this is gonna affect Sacriers. Because to me, Sacriers are one of the most broken classes right now, because so many PvP tournaments have happened recently, and it's always ending up with I think the Tarkan Cup, which is a really popular 1v1 tournament that's done a couple times a year or once or twice a year, hosted by this streamer. His name is Tarkan. It ended in a Sacrier versus Sacrier. Come on, it's obviously definitely a broken thing. There were so many classes, so many participants, and it ended in Sacrier versus Sacrier, which definitely says something. And I think Ebony Dofus is going to boost close combat classes, which again, Sacrier is well included within that, which is a damn shame. Now, the Ivory Dofus, very interesting. So first of all, Ebony stayed 40 dodge, same thing, but the Ivory Dofus changed up. So it is no longer 40 linear resistances. It is now 4% regular resistances. Now that kind of saddens me, because to me, the 40 linear resistances is, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it kind of makes me think of the old times of the game, It's a little bit nostalgic, really, because linear resistances were once really important and people used to stack linear resistances and such, but now that's no longer really going to be present. Instead, we have the 4% direct resistances, and the passive also changed. So now, instead of always tanking the first damage you take after you pass your turn, every 5th hit, you're going to reduce by 50%. Now, if you think about it situationally, when this ends up playing out completely, does it really matter that much? We'll talk about that. But I actually when I first read this, I thought that it would be a probability. So you have a 1 in 5 probability, which means you could tank 2 in a row, right? If you're just a little bit lucky. But I don't think that's the case. It's not really clear, but I don't think that's the case. We'll know when the beta comes out. Anyhow, it is quite a big nerf though. I think in some situations, but it's also not that big of a nerf in other situations, because if you think about it, 1 in 5 hits. So if you're being hit a lot, it kind of comes out to the same thing, because let's say you pass your turn. If you get more than 5 hits after your turn, then it's worth it. So in a team situation where you're being hit a lot, let's say, that's definitely worth it. Or if you're being hit, I think by multiple lines of damage, each one's considered. So if, let's say a Foggernaut does ambush on you. Now ambush is 4 lanes of damage plus 1 from the harpooner, so that's 5. So one of those is going to be reduced. And then let's say you're being hit by other players, I think one of them being reduced, I think kind of comes out to the same thing. But for me, I kind of prefer the old one just because I like the linear resistances. But overall, I don't think it's that much of a change. It's not going to change too much. Which is kind of funny because the prices have dropped like crazy. So it's kind of interesting to see how, if it might bounce back, or we'll just have to see how that goes. Next up is the Sparkling Silver Dofus, which right now, the most annoying thing about it is that you don't know if they have it if you missed it at the start of the fight, because there's just so many effects, so many things, like you can't always scroll back up, like it often goes out of bounds, let's say. But now there will be an icon, which is great to hear. They don't say that here, but I think they said it in the live. There will be an icon, which is great. The Sparkling Silver Dofus is now different though. So before, whereas if you start your turn with less than 20% of your vitality, then that's when you activate the Sparkling Silver Dofus. But now, if you go to less than 20% of your vitality at any point, then next turn you're going to get healed not 40% but 30%, and you'll still get those 20% damage. So the thing is, like, if you get hit but then healed again, so it doesn't matter, because right now, for example, let's say you play with both Sparkling Silver and Dekoko, okay? If you go to 19% and it's the turn for the Dekoko to heal you, then the Dekoko will heal you, bring you over 20%, and then you won't get the Sparkling Silver. But now you will get it, because it doesn't really matter. So before, there was like a little strategy people would use, like if you're right at the edge, like 19%, they would put a Cowet Dofus next to you to heal you just like 100, 200 heals to bring you up plus 3%. But now that will no longer be the case, because as soon as you drop below 20%, that's it. Like the Sparkling will be active 100%. Obviously, probably can still be blocked via like unhealable spells like Ardor for the Masqueraders and such. Which, by the way, the Masqueraders and all those are going to be changed up in the coming update. Maybe I'll do a quick tour of the beta when it comes out. I'm looking at to my right here, and we're at 26 minutes. I really want to keep this under 30 minutes, so we're going to speedrun the rest, okay? Silver Dofus, just same thing, except less heals and no damage, of course. And then that's kind of it. Otherwise, we have changes to, well, that's it for what they posted up here, yeah? There are other changes. There's changes to the legendary items. I'll tell you them quickly from memory for what I know. The Kicked Ass's boots, if they start next to you, if the start of your turn someone's next to you, it used to be it pushes them back 1 cell. Now it pushes them back 2 cells. The Corrupted Cape, which is the biggest, abuse nowadays, instead of placing a poison for 1 turn each time you are hit, no, each time you are healed within 2 range of an enemy or ally. Actually, I think it poisons everyone. Now, to actually activate that poison, you have to be healed up to 100% of your HP. So the only, like, okay, I'm trying to think of like where that would be useful. It could be useful for, like, let's say an Enutrof, because I'm thinking if you're an Enutrof, okay, and you go next to an enemy, hit yourself with coin throwing, okay, and then hit one of your summons with coin throwing, it will just heal whatever you just damaged, right? And then you'll become 100%. So if you're 100% HP, go next to them, hit yourself with coin throwing, lower your HP, hit a summon with coin throwing, and if you're an Enutrof and you hit your summons, that heals you. Come back up to 100%, hit yourself again, hit them again, and you can kind of put that, which is probably going to be interesting. Now, the poison will last for 2 turns. It's still non-debuffable and stuff, and I think the damage is higher, but I haven't seen necessarily any information about that, and I'm not sure if it's stackable, so we'll have to see, but I think that's kind of cool. Any other big legendary items? Phalanster Shield now no longer automatically gives you that 10% damage reduction that can be removed with a movement. Instead, you have to finish in line of sight with an enemy. Not sure if summons count, but I think they do. That's a little bit of a nerf. Dodges now Lady Jessica belt, instead of minus 40 dodged, if someone's next to you, does minus 100 dodge. All right, 29 minutes. I got 1 minute. Anything else? Dodges Audacity. That one. Okay, that one's actually kind of cool, because at the start of your turn, it will teleport you randomly to one of the open cells. So let's say there's like a plus, right? Oh shit. Okay, let's say there's like a plus, and your enemy's here, and you're in the middle of the plus. At the start of your turn, you're gonna be teleported randomly to one of the other cells. And if you can't be teleported, then I believe you gain damage. No, you gain critical percentages and pushback damage, or something like that. Anyways, that's it for that. I'm looking forward to this coming up update. Looking forward to rushing the ladder with my rogue, possibly with a few other items. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, help support the channel. don't forget to drop a like. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you next time. Have a great day, and goodbye.